This one I haven't gotten yet. And then reported again. Okay, I'm appeal. Wow. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to send an invite. Oh, wow. Oh, I didn't. Oh, no. Sorry, I didn't mean to send an invite. My bad.
Okay, bye.
Well, that was awkward. Well, that was awkward. Sorry, y'all. Oh, 55 already got that. 400. Let's see that one. Okay, let's see this one. Is the site taking a little longer than usual? And then this one as well. There we go. There we go. And then this person said EFTA 010666504. Okay, got it. Now we have to get through everything though, for real. Ugh. The irony of it asking if I'm 18 plus. So what am I reading here? This is the first one, 400, page 10. Okay, let's go to page 10. Okay. Had him to the Bolsonaro. Oh, 9, okay. Dividing up the carcass. Dems now fighting over... Wait, what? Carcass? What carcass are they talking about? What carcass are they talking about? Dividing up the carcass. Does he mean caucus? Is it a misspelling, maybe? Dems now fighting over which committee gets the sexiest hearing. Lots of infighting. How can a hearing be sexy? These people are weird. I think it's a misspelling. I think he means caucus. Exactly. I think that's what he means. I think he means caucus. What is this one? This is 69.8. Okay. What does it say here? It says here, I hope it means caucus. This is from redacted to redacted, Wednesday, 15th January 2025, so last year. It says, hi, redacted. It's been a while since I've received a civilian report regarding Epstein Maxwell, but the below appears to fall into the category that we forward to you consistent with our case team practice. Passing along per that practice. Thanks and hope you're doing well. Let me download this immediately as well. Okay. And it says, hello, I'm not sure who to contact. When I Googled Ghislaine Maxwell, prosecutor, you popped up. I'm not sure anyone would even still be interested in knowing. I worked at a country club in Mogadore, Ohio. I worked there from 2002 till 2004. It was called West's Mogadore Country Club. It was a golf course, bar, bowling alley. I cleaned and cooked. I don't know the exact dates. I remember Epstein coming in along with Ghislaine and others. I believe they were first. Marshall Mathers wasn't there with... Wait, what? Marshall Mathers? Excuse me? Hold up. Let's read it again. I believe they were first. Marshall Mathers wasn't there with Epstein. At least not that I saw. I wasn't normally allowed in the bar. I know they moved the bed into the banquet space. My memories of seeing it there are hazy, like I was drugged or substanced or under hypnosis. The night Marshall came in there was another guy. I don't know the man's name. He and my boss came to the kitchen. My boss, Eric West, took over cooking because the man wanted to talk to me. He tried to persuade me to let him introduce me to a man. I kept refusing. Eventually, they threatened me. I was told to pour Marshall a drink and flirt with me. I realize now he kept insisting it should be me because I was the only girl under 18 in the establishment. Oh my God. Let's read that again. I realize now he kept insisting it should be me because I was the only girl under 18 in the establishment. After pouring Marshall the drink, I left the bar. I asked if I could go home now. Instead, they held my face and forced me to take something. I know there was a woman who shaved my privates, but my only memory after that is of being in a different part of the country club, telling the man Marshall didn't have sex with me. I honestly don't know if he did. I believe the man later came back. I don't remember much of it other than I was naked in the bathroom on the wicker chase lounge with black man behind me holding a knife to my throat. They told me I was going to end up in a dumpster. Most of my memories feel unreal. I'm hoping by telling someone I can find a sense of realness in healing they've started playing over and over in my head. All of the memories I have of Marilyn Manson feel like a dream or hypnosis, except the ones at my aunt's house. Wait, Marilyn Manson, the rock singer? I'm not sure how my dad's cousin knew him. He visited at least while I was young. The first I was around 10 or 11 years old, I had started developing breasts. I was self-conscious of them. They were going to be different sizes. I often covered them with my arms. My dad allowed him to trace them onto my white shirt. Oh my God. My dad allowed him to trace them onto a white shirt. The second time he visited, I was around 13. There was a bunch of men with him this time. He told the room full of men something that upset my dad. He pulled me out of the house and said I'd never see Brian again. We called him Brian, not Marilyn. After that, my memories all feel like I was either substanced around him or under some kind of hypnosis. I also have memories of being around P. Diddy. Oh my God! But I can't place how or why he would have been in my home. I was pregnant with my daughter in 2010. She was born in March of 2011. I lived in a trailer located close to Akron, Ohio. I remembered someone who I think is Diddy taking a video with a phone. I've always been a bigger girl. My weight while I was pregnant was close to 300 pounds. If there's a video of me, it might stand out. I'm not the normal pretty type of person you'd see around celebrities. Since my teens, I've always weighed around 200 to 300 pounds. I have brown hair. My breasts are different sizes. I also wear glasses. However, they're often taken from me. I hope that telling someone this, they will remember if they come across anything. My dad passed in 2020. I don't talk to his cousins. When I tried to talk to my dad prior to his death, he'd refuse to talk. I was raped one other time. In 2005, I was with my boyfriend at the time. He allowed his substance dealer to rape me. I've tried to contact local police about that. My boyfriend passed away and there are no records. Thank you for reading this. I don't know if any of it would be of any help or anyone else. Again, I'm not even sure who I should be talking to. I have no evidence of any of it. I have no one to talk to me about it. My memories are still becoming increasingly overwhelming. They keep me awake at night. I feel like if I try to verbally tell anyone of this, they will just tell me I'm insane. I really hope you don't just write me off as being a nutcase. I'd love to be able to just live a normal life where I don't have to fight the urge to hide and cry every day. Thank you again. I got chills down my spine, y'all. Why did she call him Brian? What is Marilyn Manson's real name? His name is Brian. That's his real name. That's why she called him Brian. That's his real name. By the way, Marilyn Manson has a history of abusing women. Ex-partners, ex-wives have come out and have said that he has abused them. So this man has a history of abusing women, by the way. So, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I found this email also that was very interesting, by the way, which is from a person called Joy Ito. And Jeffrey Epstein emails him and tells him, hey, talk today? ? And he responds saying, my schedule today is a bit crappy, but I could call from around 6:30 p.m.ish. Where will you be? By the way, I'm trying to get a friend out of prison in Syria. You don't happen to have anyone with influence over Assad, do you? First of all, let's look into this Joy Ito, by the way. Joy Ito is a Japanese entrepreneur and venture capitalist, okay? His name is Joichi Ito or Joy Ito. Now, the question is, why is he asking Epstein if he knows somebody who has influence over Assad? Bashar al-Assad, by the way, was the president of Syria. The fact that he's asking him this, do you have anybody who has influence over the president of Syria? Why would a normal math teacher know somebody who has influence over a president of a country, a dictator? Yeah. That's a question I keep asking myself. How did this guy come to be so powerful? And there are a lot of people who are saying Israel is controlling him. I don't think so. I genuinely think the amount of power that this guy has is even greater than Israel. Israel is a genocidal state. Don't get me wrong. It's a genocidal state. But I literally believe that the amount of power that this man has had is much greater. Right? And he keeps talking about the boss. Even his brother, Puggy, received emails talking about the boss liked you, the boss this, the boss that. Who is the boss in this case? Netanyahu. Some people were like Netanyahu. Netanyahu has only been in power since like 95, I think. Prime Minister. And Epstein was doing this way before that. And in another of those emails, somebody said that Trump was doing his best to impress Epstein. So he can't be the boss. If one of the girls said that Trump was doing his best to impress Epstein, why would he do his best to impress a man who works for him? That doesn't make sense either. Right? So that's why I'm saying somebody else is the boss. I think somebody who's much, much more powerful than either of these individuals, somebody who stays behind the scenes, somebody who potentially probably we don't know. That's who the boss is. That is who the boss is. Let's read this as well, okay? So this is from Ben Nivens to Richard Showborough. He says, I have attached an ROI photos of redacted at young age through 17. She's in her 40s now. I've also attached my interview questions with her answers. If I can assist further and or provide further case information, just let me know, okay? So he's a lead investigator in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is what she says. On July the 25th, 2019, investigators received a phone call from Redacted, who was referred by Polaris to Hope for Justice, Nashville, Tennessee. Redacted stated she had been trafficked by Jerry Edward Epstein when she was approximately 5 years old. Five years old. Right? And again, when she was 17 years old, Redacted wanted to know if her allegation could be investigated. Redacted was contacted by Hope for Justice team, Richard Showborough, who set an appointment with Redacted for an interview on July the 26th, 2019. On July the 26th, 2019, Redacted. She further provided her parents, Redacted. Redacted trafficked her from young age and had sex with her on a daily basis. With a 5-year-old? Excuse me? Oh my God. Oh my God. It's grape. Yes, it's grape. Redacted stated she has redacted brothers. Redacted recalled being forced to live under the house in a crawl space, and at time her brothers were made to live there as well. She lived in a crawl space? Under the house? She stated at around the age of 5 to 6 years old, Redacted. She was taken to Florida where Redacted trafficked her to Epstein. She recalled there was a number of young kids there and would recognize the area of scene again. She remembered being forced to have sex with a dog in front of Epstein. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. They forced a 5 or 6-year-old kid to have sex with a dog, bro. Oh, I'm gonna need a little bit to process that one, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna need a little bit to process that one. I'm gonna need a little bit to process that one, y'all. I'm gonna need a little bit to process that one, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna need a minute for that one. Oh my God, I'm gonna need a minute for that one. Oh my God. I'm sorry, y'all. Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy fuck. The level of depravity, yo. Oh my God, the level of depravity. Oh my God. Oh my God. Redacted further stated, when she was 17 years old, Redacted took a Royal Caribbean cruise to the U.S. Virgin Islands where she was sold again to Epstein. During this encounter with Epstein, Redacted recalled being taken downstairs to a room that looked like a horse stall that had short walls where she and other girls were viewed and forced to have sex with Epstein and other men. She recalled one man in his 30s with brown hair and wheelchair bound who gave instructions to the other men as to what they should do to the girls. Redacted stated for a while she was chained and berated by Epstein, calling her an animal and his having sex with him would make her status better because he is perfect. Redacted stated to the investigators Redacted continued their trafficking of her until she was 30 years old, and she broke away with the assistance of a Christian couple. She believes her brothers were trafficked at times, but they, as well as her, had outwardly normal-appearing lives, meaning they attended school and were involved in school activities, but were always treated differently at home. Redacted provided Redacted was especially well thought of in the community, but no one realized the secret life he, Redacted, led. Redacted stated the reason she is coming forward is to help other women victimized by Epstein over the years. She wants nothing more than to help. Who's being protected here? Who's being protected here? This is what she says, the continuation, right? So it says here, this question should be answered in detail by you. Were you trafficked by fraud, force, or coercion? Please explain in detail how the trafficking began and ended. Please take your time and answer using dates, places, others involved to the best of your recollection. If you cannot recall or do not wish to provide further, simply state this in the narrative. Provide any photos, emails, texts, or other digital information which involves your case. I was born into sex trafficking. I was trafficked beginning at my earliest memory. I do not remember at a time that I was not trafficked for sex. According to birth certificate from redacted, my biological parents, I do not recognize them as parents, redacted, began to sell me for sex in the town of redacted. There were many men that were brought to their home to have sex with me. I was taken to many states in the U.S. to sell me. I was forced by threat by redacted and Jeffrey Epstein of being unalived, bodily harm, and threats of harming other children if I did not have sex with them and any other people that they sold me to. The rape and sex trafficking with Jeffrey Epstein happened year redacted. I was about redacted years old. At the time, I was taken to an underground location. No, this is not Sasha Riley's story because this is a girl. This is a young girl. It's another person. I was taken to an underground location. I was blindfolded so I would not know exactly where I was at. It was dark, and when we went through the doors, we went downstairs. There was also an elevator in the location. I was kept in a stall. It looked like a horse stall that had short walls on the side so you could see inside. It wasn't really to keep me and other little girls inside. It was to make it where we could be viewed. Viewed by who? Epstein would walk past each girl, including myself, with a lot of men following him, and they would judge us. He told me I was fat and ugly, so that's what he called me. He forced me to have sex with a dog, and he said I had to pretend it was him to see if I performed well. He said if I performed well, I could be his girlfriend. Then I would be allowed to be upstairs, he called it. He said the girls upstairs were pretty and they were his girlfriends. He then raped me and said I was evil because I liked it. I couldn't make my body stop feeling. So he said I had to go to the holding place to pray hard enough to be able to be upstairs with the other girls. There were a lot of pictures of girls naked all over the walls. I had to pray hard to be like them, he said. The girls that he said performed well enough went with the line of all of the men and they left. I was chained up. In Virgin Islands, I was on a Royal Caribbean cruise ship. They stopped there. I was 17 years old, redacted. I was blindfolded and taken to an underground location. It had steps that went down. I was raped by Jeffrey Epstein. There were other men that raped me. I was kept in a stall so that men could look at me. He said I was an animal and that he was perfect. If I had sex with him, that I wouldn't be such an animal. I was chained up. He said I wanted to be raped because I wanted to be more like him. Please state your full name and date of birth, redacted. Please state your current address, redacted. Please give physical description of yourself, redacted. You not smoke, redacted. What's level of your education, redacted. Okay. When you were trafficked, did you or anyone receive benefit compensation for your services? I never received anything. The traffickers received money, antiques that were worth a lot of money. If you refused to have sex with men, did your traffickers physically or psychologically harm you? Yes. They poked me with needles in the back of my legs. I was shocked with an electric machine in my head. I was told I was evil constantly. For example, I would walk out of the room. They killed the fish that was in the fish tank. When I returned to the room, they said, "Why did you kill the fish?" They made me think I was so evil. I did bad things and I didn't remember doing it. The psychological abuse was constant every day, all throughout the day. How long were you trafficked? Redacted. How did your trafficker control you and where were you kept? Redacted. At what point were you rescued? Redacted. Were the police notified? By whom? When? Is there a police report? Yes, I notified the police, but I was told that there wasn't anything that could be done. What? Excuse me? Like, huh? The police said there was nothing that could be done? Have your traffickers been arrested and prosecuted? No. Are there others known to you still being trafficked by him or others? Yes. Name of traffickers and description: Jeffrey Epstein in his 60s, redacted. Specific to Mr. Epstein, when, how, and where did you meet him? Did he have other men or women with him? And were you forced to have sex with him and the others? I was brought to him by my traffickers, redacted. She said in the beginning her parents were her traffickers. He then trafficked me for sex with men he had with him. What type of... Why would they ask her these questions? Why would they ask her these questions? What type of intercourse did Mr. Epstein have with you? How often? Did he attempt to photograph or video the sexual activity? I was raped by Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, but them calling it sexual intercourse is what I have an issue with. Because how was she telling them she was raped? And their question is, what type of sexual intercourse? Sexual intercourse kind of sounds consensual, but this wasn't consensual. Right? By the way, protect your peace. If anybody thinks it's too much for them, please protect your peace and your mental health and leave my live, right? Anyways, I was raped by Jeffrey Epstein multiple times. He was threatening to unalive and harm other children if I didn't do what he said. He had video cameras, as he said, and if I didn't do what he said, they would see that I caused the other children to get hurt. Then I would be put in jail. Did Mr. Epstein have any physical features you can recall that would be identifiable only to him? Moles, scars, tattoos, not that I remember. Did Mr. Epstein call you any certain names or refer to you by a name? Sweetie, honey, baby, fat, ugly. He called some of the children that he chose to go places with him his girlfriend. Are you employed? Redacted. Are you willing to take a polygraph administered by federal agency? Redacted. Yeah. Oh, here it is. I was about 5 or 6 years old. So she was 5 or 6 years old when she was put in that horse stall. 5 or 6 years old when she was put in that horse stall. Excuse me? Crazy. Actually fucking insane. I'm not gonna lie. Actually fucking insane that more people are not talking about this. Okay, let's go to the other files. Oh, Marshall Mathers. Oh my god. Yes. This is from Jeffrey Epstein to Mark Tramo. Let me write that down. Yes, Marshall Mathers is in here. Mark Tramo and Richard Johnson. Hi G, thanks for sending Richard Johnson my way. I trust the kind words I shared with him are acceptable to you. If not, please let me know ASAP. I'm on the road. My cell is redacted. If A-okay, then I hope you realize this recognition for all you do for so many of us. Yeah, what does Jeffrey Epstein do for so many of them? My opinion overdue and well-deserved. Cheers, Mark. P.S. Was just reading today that newborns will suck on a pacifier more vigorously if it triggers playback of a recording of his mother's voice and another woman's voice. Have you... Oh my God. Oh my God. Why is he even saying this? To Jeffrey Epstein. Who is this person? This person. He's a neurologist. Why does he think he needs to say that? I'm confused. Why does he say... Hold on. There. Was just reading today that newborns will suck on a pacifier more vigorously if it triggers playback of a recording of his mother's voice than another woman's voice. Have you read David Brooks' Social Animal? Was #1 a New York Times book for quite a while. Why is he... What is he think this is necessary to tell Jeffrey Epstein? I'm confused. Mark Jude Tramo, Department of Neurology, David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA, Department of Musicology, USLA, Herb Alpert School of Music, Director of the Institute for Music and Brain Science, Co-Director, University of California Multi-Campus Music Research Initiative. Crazy. What is this? Oh, this is the one where it's page 9. What is this? Wait, this is 554. Oh, 553. 1011. Okay. Okay. The only thing we know for sure is high triglycerides and low testosterone diet, exercise, I assume aspirin and statin. The only thing we know for sure, okay, the test is false level until infection is gone. Okay, just curious, why were you using a hot water bottle in that area? And they say, I knew I shouldn't have asked. Because he sends him a picture saying yummy? Why is he a picture saying yummy? Urine stream still not great. Can I take a Claritin or Benadryl? Or is it only decongestant the issue? What did he send to him and say yummy? Oh, he sent him Justin Bieber's video? Hold on. Didn't somebody say that the Justin Bieber's video itself was like code for like trafficking? Okay. This is from Redacted to Epstein. I forgot to tell you, I went to see the Pope in Rome on Sunday while he was giving his speech. He told us a beautiful story about two women, both having a baby. During the night, one woman suffocates her baby in her sleep, doesn't do it on purpose. Horrified of what happened, the day after, she decides to switch babies with the other woman, pretending the other one died. The woman recognized it wasn't hers, but the other one wouldn't admit her sin. Since they couldn't find a compromise, they both went to see the King Solomon, this is in the Bible, the story, in order that he could figure out and decide who's going to keep the baby. Since they couldn't find out the truth, the king said, okay, at this point, I will kill the baby. And the woman screamed, I killed it, please give it back to her real mother. And the king took the baby and gave it to the woman who screamed. That's not how the actual story goes, by the way. The actual story is that in the Bible is that King Solomon says, I will cut the baby in half. And the woman who is not the mother says, okay, cut the baby in half. We can share the story. We can share the baby. And the woman who's the real mother says, no, don't cut the baby. Actually, just give the baby to the other woman. And then that's how King Solomon found out who the mother was, because the mother was willing to give up the baby instead of the baby dying as long as it lived, whereas the woman who was not the mother was willing to sacrifice the baby and let it die, right? This is like a parable, basically. So I don't know why he would mention the Pope. I don't know why he would mention that particular story. And I don't know why he would say it in this way. So yeah, it's not a parable. It's actually a thing that happened in the Old Testament, okay? That's how the actual story is. Before anybody tells me, how the hell did you know this story? I used to teach Bible study back in the day, okay? You guys don't know that side of Athena, but I used to do Bible study. That's how I know the story. What is this? 400 page. Oh, I think we already saw this. Page 9. Yes, the carcass thingy. We saw this already. Kavi has had 3 lives already. Yes. Yes. This is the baby blankets one. We already read this one too. Sorry, I'm like saving everything so I can bulk post it in my server so you guys can have it. Oh my god! What the fuck did somebody send me? Okay. Hold on, how do I show this? Hold on. Okay. That's Epstein biting into a young girl. Okay. And it's framed. He's biting into a young girl. So this is from redacted to redacted. And they're, okay. Let's read it together. They're also sharing images. Yeah. Sorry, we did see that one. I just got surprised because I didn't expect it. Here, it was one of the files that people sent to me. Heinous front, exactly. Heinous front. Hold on. Okay. There. I have called and emailed repeatedly to tell you that I am being stalked and intimidated by thugs sent after me by SCPD. When I attended the EADNY summation of the Spada McPartland trial, the prosecutors explained the Spada put police and prosecutors in key positions in the James Burke beatdown of Chris Loeb that took place on December the 14th, 2012, or thereabouts, to cover up for James Burke and not to investigate in the crime. Hold on. Who's James Burke again? James Burke is a broadcaster, science historian, author, and television producer. He's one of the... they were right when they said that Epstein just knew everybody. Epstein really did know everybody, I'm not gonna lie. Where's the... There we go. Actually, let's make it smaller a bit so you guys can see the whole thing. To cover up for James Burke. In reality, Chris McPartland, Emily Constant, James Hickey, Peter Crisco, Taryn Merkel, and Ross McCormack, and others were specifically in place to cover up the beatdown and the DVDs that Burke had in his party bag that Loeb found and watched, and not to actually investigate. The feds explained in detail the jurors that the police were coached by James Burke and James Hickey to lie to the feds who were investigating the matter, and henceforth, the first attempt by the feds to sue were thwarted by Spada and McPartland, and henceforth they, Spada and McPartland, were sued for obstruction of justice. While I was at the government summation, I witnessed John Ray, the attorney for the estate of Shannon Gilbert, make Google eyes at Tom Spada. I witnessed Tom Spada looking deeply lovingly in the eyes of John Ray. This occurred at approximately 12:45 p.m. On December the 11th, 2019, in Judge Azraq's courtroom, she had just let everyone go for lunch, and John Ray stayed behind to look at McPartland, who acknowledged Ray and then looked away, and Spada. None of the lawyers in the room were looking at Ray except Spada. The lawyers in the room were the prosecutors and the defense counsel of Spada and McPartland. When I saw the intimate look between the two men, I knew that Spada had placed John Ray to represent the Gilbert family, to cover up the case, and to not actually fulfill his duties, to zealously defend his client Shannon Gilbert. I had met John Ray on December 3rd, 2016, and I learned that he had absolutely no expertise in sex trafficking, and he was clueless as to the evidence in Shannon's case. I knew more about her case than her own lawyer did, and I had a lot of confusion in my mind as to why he was Shannon's lawyer. I know that when John Ray entered Mary Gilbert's life, he told Mary that he would line her pockets with Hackett's money. After Mary Gilbert died, I was invited to her funeral. John Ray did not attend as press were not allowed. I was told information about the Hackett to Mary Gilbert phone calls from Mary's boyfriend, Elroy S. These are a lot of people. John Ray had a meeting on December 3, 2016 to discuss the Shannon Gilbert case. He asked me to be on his Shannon Gilbert team. The private investigator Trisha Burton on his team called me on December the 4th, 2016 to talk to me, and she said that he lied about a dozen things yesterday in the meeting. On December the 5th, 2016, I called a professional survivor of sex trafficking, and she offered to help me and discuss escort agencies and what drivers are responsible for and the drop of how agencies work. On December the 6th, 2016, I, along with Trisha Burton and a sex trafficking survivor who is a woman who trains FBI in sex trafficking and an NYPD deputy lieutenant in the Intel division who worked on the Bartholomew end of the Lisk case, started talking to have a sting conducted on Michael Pack to learn who the agencies were that he worked for and where the drop was made. I was doing this to get intel on Pack to give to John Ray, the lawyer representing Shannon Gilbert. In January 2017, I spoke to Pack and he spoke to me. A texting and talking relationship developed. January the 18th, 2018, I met Redacted at a New York State Anti-Trafficking Coalition meeting. I expressed that I was deeply upset because I had gone to federal court and stood in front of Judge Edward Corman to have Akeem Cruz put away, and Judge Corman put Akeem in prison for an upward departure for the Mann Act. Judge Corman said to Akeem that he did not kill Redacted, but he put her in the path of danger and was putting him back in prison for the Mann Act instead of letting him go home. The two AUSAs discussed with me that since Pack lived in Queens, there was a nexus and they could go after him to prosecute him, and gave me their business cards and said send as your intel. I did. I first sent my intel to you in January 2018 and then on or about June 22nd, 2018. The only people who knew that I was working with the FBI were the town of Mamaroneck cops, because Pack had threatened to kill me on the phone and I was in town Mamaroneck, John Ray, Mr. and Mrs. Scalise, and my attorney, Andrew J. Maloney III. On May 18, 2018, I was in their home discussing the Hackett-Mary Gilbert phone calls of 2010, and they witnessed Michael Pack on the phone with me. And I told them that I had spoken to the FBI, SDNY, to prosecute Pack, and I noticed their body language freak out. And I knew that they were going to tell John Ray what they had just witnessed, and they did call John Ray. So this is the police covering up for P3DOs. This is the police obstructing an investigation from being done and protecting a P3DO. Right? Hold on. On November the 6th, 2018, I learned from Joe Scalise that his parents had paid John Ray $25,000 cash in a secret payment in the Shannon Gilbert lawsuit against Hackett. Joe Scalise had told people starting on June the 11th, 2011, that Shannon Gilbert's body was in the marsh behind. Whoa! Shannon Gilbert. This is her. She's a woman who was unalived at the age of 23 years old in 2010. She was working as an escort on the night she disappeared and had traveled to Long Island with her driver, Michael Pack, to meet with Joseph Brewer, a client who lived in the area. On November the 6th, 2018, I learned from Joe Scalise that his parents had paid John Ray $25,000 in cash in a secret payment in the Shannon Gilbert lawsuit against Hackett. Joe Scalise had told people starting on June the 11th, 2011, that Shannon Gilbert's body was in the marsh behind Hackett's house. I asked Joe Scalise how he knew that, and he told me that there are things he cannot tell me. Who is this person? He is a Chicago mobster. Okay. Wild. I asked Joe Scalise how he knew that, and he told me there are things he cannot tell me. I gave these recordings to you in 2018 in one of the data dumps. On January the 8th, 2019, EDNY FBI special agent called me to tell me that Redacted was no longer on the case, and he was so if I had concerns to talk to him. He hoodwinked me into believing I was to work with him, but in reality, he was grilling me on how I got the FBI on Shannon's case because he did not know. I believe John Ray being put on the Gilbert case by Tom Spota to pretend to defend Shannon, but in reality just to cover up for Spota and Burke, and also Joe Scalise's involvement of the death and cover-up of Shannon Gilbert informed Spota that I had the SDNI FBI on the case to prosecute Pac. I believe John Ray and Spota discussed how to have my SDNY Fed shut down because the police are covering up a series of murders of young ladies that were purchased for the specific intent. Are you guys reading this? Are you guys reading this? For the specific intent of unaliving them for pleasure. Hold on. The police are covering up a series of unalivings of young ladies that were purchased for the specific intent of unaliving them for pleasure. Tell me this doesn't remind you of the movie Hostel? Who here has watched Hostel? Who here has watched Hostel? You know how those people were bought, like purchased, quote unquote, by rich people? So they could like torture them and unalive them and all those different things. This is basically what's happening here. A bunch of rich people are purchasing escorts for the specific purpose of unaliving them. And then because they're rich and powerful, the police cover everything up for them. While I was at Central, hold on, let's see this. So let's read this. While I was at Central Islip Courthouse, I witnessed Chris Loeb tell John Ray the content of the 7 DVDs that he found in James Burke's duffel bag and that he watched at his home later on. When he took out the DVDs from the duffel bag, Chris Loeb was telling John Ray that 5 of the DVDs were snuff films. So the detective, pretending to investigate this, just wanted to watch the By the way, people who have complaints about the font, I did not make this font. It's the person who was sending the email. Were snuff films, and that he witnessed choking, torture, beating, graping, and unaliving of the girls. There were 5 DVDs, and one of the girls was an Asian girl. Michael Pack is an Asian sex trafficker who specializes in selling Asian girls for sex. I witnessed Chris Loeb tell John Ray about the 2 child pornography DVDs. I witnessed John Ray show no emotion, and he was nonplussed. I believe John Ray already knew the content of the 7 DVDs that Chris Loeb found in James Burke's duffel bag, because John Ray is in the inner circle of Burke, Spada, and McPartland. I witnessed a very intimate look from Spada's eyes to John Ray's eyes just moments earlier, and I learned in the trial that Spada placed very important key figures to pretend to prosecute and investigate the Burke beatdown of Loeb, but in reality, they were covering up the beatdown and any intel of the content of the DVDs from going public. Chris Loeb called Burke a P3DO in the room, and Burke realized that Chris had watched the DVDs to know that, and Burke unbuttoned his shirt and beat the shit out of Chris. The DVDs that Chris Loeb watched have traumatized him to this day, and between the beatdown and the content of what he witnessed when he watched the DVDs has given him severe PTSD, and he is in the hospital as I write this. I have been stalked to be intimidated ever since SCPD found out about me. I have had my phone hacked, my computer hacked. I have had the mafia thugs sent my SCPD in my home as they took off door handles for the doors in my home and placed meticulously on the floor. And I was confronted by a mafia thug on December 11, 2019, when I was leaving the Central Islip Courthouse. He was waiting for me and sitting on the petition. He had greasy hair, and as I passed him, I saw a 2x2-inch black cube, which was a recorder pointed at me, and he said, "Got an electric heater?" Just the day before, on December the 10th, 2019, there was a snowstorm, and I took out 2 hot water bottles and plugged them in to put on my person for warmth. This mafia thug was letting me know that they have a video wire in my home. I have sent an overnight mail that has never been received. They, the mafia thugs, are following me in a Range Rover. It is registered to a government agency. I have a government agency following me. I have someone extracting my USPS priority mail out of the system and stealing my mail. I have mailed you to ask you for help, and I am ghosted. No police will help me with the stalkers. Not the Westchester DA, not the chief of the Westchester Anti-Trafficking Task Force, not the town of Mamaroneck police for the death threat to me from Pack, not the Brooklyn DA's chief of human trafficking, and not you, my own feds. Why are you ghosting me? I have called and emailed for help, and I get silence. You can have an investigator call me to help me get these wires out of my home. Mama Ronek, thank you, Ronek. Loretta Lynch is the reason that Spada and McPartland were tried, and the EDNY prosecutors tried the case. Spada, Constant, and McPartland went running to Loretta to have their mess off the feds investigating them for the cover-up of the Burke beatdown and the DVDs, and Loretta heard her own voice on the illegal wire tapes, and she had them prosecuted. James Burke had a prostitution escort agency starting 1995, and he had a beeper registered to a redacted at his home address. He was prostituting boys and girls, and one of them was redacted. He became involved with redacted. In 1999, she left her husband and moved in with Burke, and she became the madam of his prostitution ring. And she used the same beeper as just mentioned that Burke had since 1995. In the divorce of Redacted, the husband, Redacted, had his private investigators run intel on the beeper and Burke's prostitution ring, and it was part of his divorce trial. Spada has his own law firm then, and he was representing Burke. I am being followed and stalked by mafia thugs because Shannon Gilbert was unalived, and it is a huge cover-up. I gave you intel to have Michael Pack and Alex Diaz prosecuted under the Mann Act, and you did nothing. You have probable cause, and Shannon is dead. These 3 pictures are of the mafia thugs that intimidated me at the Central Islip Courthouse. On December the 11th, 2019, he followed me to my car and he was memorizing my license plate. So I took pictures of him and he turned his back to me. I drove to the courthouse in a rental and borrowed friend's EZ pass so that SCPD would not know I was driving there. The man below is hiding his right hand when I enter my house, that they will be in my home to grape me, torture me, beat me, and unalive me, and film it. That is the content of the DVDs that Chris Loeb watched from Jimmy Burke's duffel bag. My number is redacted. I need help. I understand you are busy on the Jeffrey Epstein case. Well, John Ray is connected to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He did a talk on January the 22nd, 2020 at the Sachem Library, and he said that his life partner, Madeline Christofferson, was an opera singer in Sweden, and she was connected to a woman named Barbara Enbom. Enclosed is a 3 or 4 minute video in which John connects himself to Jeffrey Epstein via Barbara Enbom and Madeline Christofferson. Also below is a picture of Ghislaine Maxwell's name in Epstein's Black Book, and right next to her name is John Ray with a country code for America. And Redacted's phone number that says John Ray has a coupe or condo in NYC at the Redacted NYC NY. It's an apartment with a concierge in the lobby. John Ray states that he's actively trying to get the victims' names to help the victims of Barbara Enbom and Jeffrey Epstein. You are the feds on the case. John Ray is connecting himself to Barbara Enbom. John Ray is a bum, and he's an intimate friend of Spada. After I met John Ray, I asked him how the Shannon Gilbert Foundation was doing, and he told me it was never started. He's a liar. I mailed him $400 in 2012 for the court fees to start the foundation. I helped Mary Gilbert make the flyers asking the public for monies to be sent to Ray, and once it totaled $400, it would be the cost to file the foundation in the court. I mailed him the $400 in November 2012. In December 2016, after I met him, I asked about the foundation. He lied to me and said it would never be started. I told him to refund me my $400, and he lied and told me that it went into his case. But I told him Is my voice cutting out for anybody else? By the way. No, okay. But I told him the money was earmarked for the SMG, not for profit, and that he put the money in his pocket. Enclosed is a letter from the bar. Oh, my lawyer, Andrew Maloney, told me to write the Bar Association and have him disbarred. I did. Ray was not disbarred, and I knew why the minute I saw the look between Spada and Ray, because Spada needs Ray to be the sleazy, unethical, fraudulent lawyer representing Shannon Gilbert. Enclosed is a letter, the Bar Association, to tell me John is not disbarred. Please find a refunded check to me for Ray's law firm, but his partner signed the check in the amount $400 to refund me my monies that I sent him in 2012. I wrote on the bottom left-hand corner of the check, St. Pierre paid $400 in November 2012 court fee to John Ray for Shannon M. Gilbert Foundation. Filed it, lied to me for years. Last but not least, here's a recording from November 6, 2018, in which Joe Scalise tells me that his family gave John Ray $25,000 secretly and that no one knew about the money to help with the Shannon Gilbert lawsuit. That makes Scalise a third party in a two-party lawsuit and allows the Scalise family to lead Ray by the nose and dictate to him what to do. What is the motivation of the Scalise family? Many people, I included, believe John Scalise is a strong POI in the murder and cover-up. Person of interest is POI, by the way, of the murder of Shannon Gilbert. Oh, these are the images, by the way, of the people who are stalking her. Please help me be safe from the traffickers that are more like a paramilitary mafia thug. Organized crime upon me to intimidate me to shut up. I'm telling you, SDNY, the sovereign deity of the federal government who is actually working on the Epstein case that John Ray is directly connected to, a madam in Epstein's organization, a madam from Sweden. John Ray goes to Sweden numbers times a year. Be graped and unalive like the DVDs that Burke had in his party duffel bag. My number is redacted. I need help. You can have an investigator come to me from White Plains and scan my home for wires. Please help me. This is the number of the EFTA, by the way. If you guys want access to it, this is the number of the EFTA. Redacted. We don't know who wrote this. This is apparently some type of investigator. We already have a Discord, my Discord. You can join my Discord through my link tree in my bio. Michael Pack is the driver of the escorts. Yes. And I'll bulk drop everything in the Discord. The link is not broken. Open it in a browser. If my Discord link is not working, open it in a browser and it will work. A lot of people have already joined, right? So that's one thing I want to say. What else is here? I think I already did this, right? Yeah, I did. There's some stuff on... Oh, my God. I think I already did this as well. No, I didn't, actually. What is this? 504? Who told me to open this? $513. Okay, this was I did see this before. This is Leon Black sending a lot of charity, like money. The million of babies. This is also something that we did already. That was really weird. The babies not being a delicacy, but good vegetable cream cheese being a delicacy. I don't know. Oh, what did you message me on Discord? Where did you message me? Okay. Saying that babies are not a delicacy because, you have access to them. But good vegetable cream cheese is the delicacy. The baby blankets as well. Baby blankets. Why does Epstein need baby blankets? Genuine question. Why does he need baby blankets? Leon Black. We're gonna go through Leon Black's stuff, by the way. Hold on. So, somebody sent me something. Let me check it out. Sweat. What the hell? What is this? Everything is redacted. What is this? What is this webinar? In case anyone is interested, hi all. BAW will be hosting a weekly training for anyone interested. See the information. Oh, training of what? I'm confused. Online meeting. Join us each week for BAU sweatpants seminars. Training that will cover a rich and diverse number of behavioral analysis, social science, and psychological topics relevant to all of the FBI's operational and analytical areas of focus. How does it work? Each Thursday, the BAU will send out an invitation for a Skype meeting that contains the topic and read ahead materials for this session. The seminar will be held following Wednesday to give participants a chance to schedule, respond, and review the class material. What is the format for the BAU sweatpants seminars? The classes are structured to be substantive and engaging. Lasting approximately 45 minutes to an hour, depending on questions and conversations. The content will be provided via PPT or other media over Skype for Business. Each seminar will contain a summary of the material, key findings, and operational applications. Why are they trying to teach people that? The cognitive interview for suspects. Why are they learning this? Interviewing witness and victims. And then the second one, okay, is, hold on, let me save this just in case. And then the second one, what the fuck is this? Now I'm confused. What is this poster? Is that a man harming a child over here? And does that look like a kufiya? With a gun? What is this? What kind of seminar is this? BAU sweatpants seminars. Why do I feel like sweatpants is code for something and not actually like sweatpants? Or is that just me? I feel like sweatpants was code for something. But what? Well, I think that is something we'd have to... Hold on, let me write this down, actually. BAU sweatpants seminars. Yeah, I think I'll have to dig deeper into this, because I do not know what this is at all. It's really weird. All of this is just in code. The problem is you have to crack their code. That's the problem. I feel like they probably knew something would leak. And that's precisely why they always spoke in code, you know? I mean, that's at least what I think. In case something leaked, they would like still speak in code and nobody would like find it, you know? Where is it? Hold on. So let's go to hold on. Leon Black. Okay. Leon Black. This man was a creep. Leon Black was also the man who impregnated the girl in one of our journals, the 16-year-old girl's journals. Hey Santana, yeah, sure. 1 second, let me make you mod. I have to remove some of my mods though. There's some mods who haven't really been showing up, so I'll have to remove them. Okay. You are now full mod. There. Thank you, Santana. Appreciate you. Yes, the girl that was writing code. She said that she was impregnated by Epstein and also by Leon Black, because she mentioned Leon multiple times, but then she also mentioned that Epstein's baby was inside her. Okay. And that's a Leon Black we're going to be reading about a bit. So it's interesting here, she says, hold on. So they say here, reminder, Leon Black's birthday is July the 31st. Okay. Leslie Groff is Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, by the way. And then Epstein says, have someone go to Duane Reade and get him a box of adult diapers, gift wrap and send. And then Leslie says, look at this. This is very weird. Look what she says here. Do you prefer the gift, quotation marks and air quotes, arrive this week sometime or on his birthday next Monday? Why do I feel like when they're saying that, they mean a person? I feel like when they say that, they mean a person. Because why would she put gift in air quotes, quote unquote, gift, arrive this week sometime or on his birthday? Right? That's what I felt when I read it first time. What is this? This is also regarding pertaining to, yes, I will post everything on YouTube over the weekend. I've just not been having time to post it now. So So it says Lauren Phillips, Friday, June 2023, external Leon Black. See my call notes below. Let's discuss whenever convenient. And then all of it is redacted. All of it is redacted. Yes, Leon Black is all over the files. Fun fact, not so fun. Leon Black also gave Epstein $150 million. And he said he gave it for advice. What advice? Right? So we already know email threads are read from, oh no, this is okay. This is correct. So I'm working from home today. So can you call my cell phone instead? Thanks. 2 p.m. sounds, oh no, it's from the bottom. Okay. Cause it's an email thread. Okay. So this is the Attorney General, Assistant District Attorney sending a message saying, it's an email. Good morning, AUSA. ADA, Redacted, and I are from Manhattan District Attorney's Office, and we are investigating allegations of sexual abuse against Leon Black made by Redacted. Our understanding is that you spoke with one of our colleagues, ADA, Redacted, months ago in regard to an investigation that the U.S. Attorney's Office is handling involving Mr. Black. ADA indicated that Redacted had spoken with an FBI agent. We were interested in speaking with you and or the FBI agent who is working on the investigation. Do you have some time today or next week to speak? If so, please let us know what day and time is good for you and the best number to reach you. Then they say, thank you very much for your email. I'm CCing AUSA. Redacted, who's familiar with Redacted and would be the best person in our office to speak with about her. Hi, AUSA. As per AUSA Redacted email below, I'm reaching out to see if you had any time to speak with us about your conversation with Redacted and the status of her investigation. They say, I'm happy to ask. I'm free tomorrow between 12 and 4 if there's time that works. Thanks. Thanks. 1 p.m. works for us. If that works for you, is your office number the best number? Great, thanks. My cell would actually be better as I'm sitting in another office right now. Hi, hope all is well. We had spoken a couple of months ago about Redacted. Our office is conducting an investigation into sexual assault allegations by Redacted against Mr. Black. When we last spoke, you had indicated that your office was pretty busy with the Maxwell trial and did not have much of an update regarding an investigation involving Redacted. Just wanted to check back in now that the trial is over to see if there was anything further on that. Happy to give you a call if you prefer to speak over the phone. Thanks. We don't have any current plans to interview Redacted again. We were previously interested in meeting with the second victim represented by her attorney after the Maxwell trial. Based on our last conversation, I believe you had met with her already. If you're still pursuing an investigation encompassing both victims, we are not likely to open another investigation. If anything changes or my understanding is incorrect, please let me know. Why are... Yes, I've tried copying. Can I just say something that irritates me? Why are they not investigating this? Why is this a lack of care for the victims? Like this is something that's really, really, really bothering me. Like, why is there a lack of care towards the victims that you don't even want to investigate? Worrying charges. Right? And then that person says, good morning. We are reaching out to see if you have some time this week or next week for a quick phone call. This investigation. We have a new CW who has come forward and alleged. We have a new victim, is what they're saying basically. who has come forward and alleged sexual abuse by Leon Black. VCW was trafficked by Maxwell and Epstein, and we are wondering whether her name has come across your desk in the course of it. You know that if they actually investigated everything, they would actually prevent more victims from being violated? Like, do you understand? Do you understand how egregious it is not to investigate? Because them not investigating means they are not holding these people accountable, means these people are out there on the streets continuing to victimize more people. And then they say, hi, we'd be happy to chat and are available today until 2 p.m. If there's a time that works on your end, let us know and the best number to reach you. I am also available until 2 with the caveat that I'm home with my 6th son. And they have a son! Oh my God. You can call me at Redacted. If I miss you, I'll call you back. Just let me know the best number to reach you. I hope all is well. Do you have time to connect briefly on this case again next week? So they have a son, and they don't think this could potentially happen to their son. Sorry for your accidental car... What? Are you threatening me? Sorry for your accidental car crash next week. Excuse me? Is the person in the chat threatening me? Sorry for your accidental car crash next week. What the fuck? Are they worried about me or they're threatening me? I'm confused. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm not gonna lie. That's not a joke. Thank you to the mods who muted that. But I screenshotted it. That's not a joke. Whoever is saying it's a joke, that's not a joke. What the hell? Okay. As per usual, I am a happy person. I intend to continue living. I very well want to continue living. Just so you guys know. Okay? I hope all is well. Do you have time to connect briefly on this case again next week? I'm about to start a short trial, so I can either speak first thing in the morning on Monday or after 5:30 on Monday or Tuesday. If that doesn't work on your end, let me know. Thanks and have a nice weekend. I got a voicemail yesterday afternoon, but it was cut off, but I did hear Redacted and assumed it was you. Hope your trial is going well. I have some limited time to chat tomorrow between 1 to 3 p.m. And then I'm pretty open Thursday and Friday if any of those times work for you. It was me. What time? This is just them now organizing everything. And then Redacted here. Something here happened. Yes, this is from 2023 and it's in the files. I don't know why this is redacted. Could be a photo, could be information that was sent. Okay. Sorry, I'm like taken aback by that comment that I just saw. Let's watch this, okay? This is something also that I really wanted to watch with you guys for a bit.
Over the years, and with this new There have been a lot of theories surrounding Jeffrey Epstein over the years, and with this new massive files release, we are tackling whether or not they prove them right or whether we still need answers. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Now, I gotta say, as I'm covering these stories, I'm constantly reminded about the danger out there. And you know what one danger is? That strangers can find and use anything about your private life. Your name, your phone number, your address, it's all out there, which is why I want to tell all of you out there, this is a way to keep your data safe online. I got to tell you about our sponsor, Incogni, okay? They track down all of those old posts and...
Not the sponsor. I'm not sponsoring anybody. Okay.
50% off an annual plan. For as long as I can remember, the name Jeffrey Epstein, there have always been theories surrounding him, the notorious convicted pedophile and accused child sex trafficker. But now, in the wake of millions of pages of documents being released as part of the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which required the DOJ to turn over essentially all the Epstein investigation materials in its possession, now we have to ask, was there any truth to those theories? Because let me tell you, this document dump, it provides new clues, new context, new connections, and I'm going to say we got a lot more details. So from everything to whether Epstein was murdered, to whether people were exposed, to even Pizzagate. You remember that one? I'm going to tackle those theories and see if an evaluation of the materials actually proves them right or adds support. So I want to start with the idea, this is the big one, that the Epstein files are going to name names, right? Going to spill secrets. I mean, yeah. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that what was released would be enough evidence to actually prosecute somebody for a state or federal crime, let alone make the accusation that somebody was involved in criminal activity or knew about what Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell were up to. I can't say that.
What the hell?
Just because someone is mentioned in the files doesn't mean they committed a crime or knew about it. But I will tell you, you want to talk about exposing? You want to talk about secrets? My gosh, was this embarrassing? Yeah, it exposed people in a whole new way. Can we start with Peter Attia? This was a bombshell. So Attia, the anti-aging influencer, you've probably seen him a lot on social media, recently appointed contributor at CBS News. He was mentioned almost 2,000 times in the newly released files, specifically emails between him and Epstein from 2015 to 2018. And I'm not going to lie, they're bad. Attia wrote in one email to Epstein in February of 2016 that a woman's private part is, quote, low carb, and adding, still awaiting results on...
Oh, ew. Oh, ew. Why are men like this? Why are men like this? Why are men like this? Oh my God.
Is, quote, low carb, and adding, still awaiting results on gluten content, though. How about this email, dated June 24, 2015, with the subject line, got a fresh shipment, where Attia seemingly writes, the biggest problem with becoming friends with you, the life you lead is so outrageous, and yet I can't tell a soul. It's kind of chilling when you think about Epstein and the fact that he was brought up on federal sex trafficking charges, accused of abusing minors for years. Now, I will be clear, Attia wrote in a long response on X, which reads in part, reading that exchange now is very embarrassing and I will not defend it. I'm ashamed of myself for everything about this. At the time, I understood this exchange as juvenile, not a reference to anything dark or harmful. He also added that he didn't participate in any criminal activity, never was on his plane, never on his island, never present at any sex parties. Right now, at the time of this recording, he has stepped down from his role as chief science officer at the snack bar company David Protein. There was also reporting that a 60-minute segment that he was featured on has reportedly been pulled, but at the time of this recording, no word yet on the future of his association with CBS. How about New York Giants co-owner Steve Tisch exchanging emails with Epstein about women? You have one where Tisch allegedly talks about a, quote, Ukrainian girl who he called, quote, a very sweet girl. Epstein replying she has a, quote, a 10 is a character and that he would get, quote, all info on her. Now, Tisch wrote that he was, quote, curious to know about her and asked Epstein if she's a pro or civilian. I think we can take a guess what that means. And Epstein actually replied that he doesn't, quote, like records of these conversations. Now, Tisch apparently asked Epstein in another email about a different woman Is she fun? With Epstein replying, she is a civilian, but Russian, and rarely tells the full truth, but fun. I gotta say, this one's pretty striking. Regarding Tish meeting up with a woman, Epstein writes to him, "You did very well. She is a little freaked by the age difference, but go slow." In another email, Tish appeared to be emailing with a woman that Epstein had seemingly introduced him to, with him writing to her, "Jeffrey Epstein is very excited about you and I meeting each other. I like that idea. Do you?" And apparently there were other emails where Tish allegedly invited Epstein to a Giants game and Epstein inviting Tish to his private island. Now, Tish has responded to this. For example, he said in a statement to CBS News, "We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women, and in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments. I did not take him up on any of his invitations and never went."
Why would he talk about adult women to Epstein when Epstein said an 18-year-old was too old? First of all, even if it's just about adult women, that is still disgusting, though, and dehumanizing the way he talked about them. But also, Epstein himself literally said that an 18-year-old woman was too old for him. So why would he talk? An 18-year-old was too old for him. So why would he talk about adult women? Yes, Epstein himself said that an 18-year-old was too old for him, according to him.
To his island. As we all now know, he was a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. But there's more. Like, how about this photo of director Brett Ratner sitting on a couch hugging a woman sitting next to Jeffrey Epstein? Her face has been redacted out. Ratner, though, came out, said that this was his fiancée from 20 years ago. He reportedly told the Wall Street Journal back in 2023 that he didn't even know Epstein, hadn't met him. What about this? Former NASCAR driver.
Wait. So he said he didn't know Epstein. He never met him. Then why is he in a photo with him? And why is his quote unquote fiance trying to run away from him? All lies. We saw how Andrew flat out was lying as well, right?
Out said that this was his fiancée from 20 years ago. He reportedly told the Wall Street Journal back in 2023 that he didn't even know Epstein, hadn't met him. What about this? Former NASCAR driver Brian Vickers apparently forwarded an email to Epstein in 2012 about a sexually explicit male fairy tale. How about in 2019, where he apparently sent a video with the subject line, "Thought you would like this," with the message, "Happy Valentine's, buddy." By the way, at one point in time, Vickers' ex-wife was accused of coordinating Epstein's meetup with young girls, although she has claimed that she herself was a victim in all of this. How about when Epstein seems to joke about being accused of going to a pedophile convention when he said that he was visiting Paris with director Woody Allen? Yeah, so writing in a 2012 email, this is Epstein replying to someone who wrote him, "Les pedophile convention?" Epstein writes, "I think pedophile is the plural." Lots of emails with Marit, the Crown Princess of Norway. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. This was as recently, by the way, as 2014. The reason that matters actually seemingly contradicts a previous statement from the Royal Palace that said she had cut off ties with Epstein in 2011. On January 31st, she wrote a statement in part, "I must take responsibility for not having investigated Epstein's background more thoroughly and for not realizing sooner what kind of person he was." How about this? The Prime Minister of Slovakia accepted the resignation of his national security advisor, Miroslav Lajak, over the weekend after emails came out between him and Epstein talking about women. Then you got this. In one email from 2013, apparently a businessman from the United Arab Emirates, Sultan bin Suleiman, the CEO of DP World, writes that Moldavian is not as...
Do you know what DP World is, by the way? DP World is a company that is actively causing havoc in East Africa. It's a UAE-based company that is buying up ports in Africa in order to control the economies of African countries. DP World is one of the companies, the UAE-based company, that is trying to recolonize Africa. This is what makes it really, really sick. It is one of the companies that is trying to recolonize Africa. Why are they associated with Epstein? And how is Epstein such a powerful person that he is actively associated with all of these powerful people. Look into DP World, the ports that it's owning, the UAE companies in general that are owning a lot of ports and land. Look into those companies because they're doing a lot of damage, especially in East Africa. The UAE is a motherfucking enemy to Africa and especially to East Africa. So, yeah.
Attractive as the picture. The Ukrainian is very beautiful. And while we've known...
So it's not only to Sudan. Yes, the UAE is actively participating in the genocide of Sudanese people, but it's also participating in the destabilization of other East African countries. So really look into DP World.
It's that Moldavian is not as attractive as the picture. The Ukrainian is very beautiful. And while
Wait. Hold on. By the way, the Ukrainian and the Moldavian arrived. He's talking about them as if they're packages, by the way. Oh, they've arrived, right? Big disappointment. The Moldavian is not as attractive as the picture, while the Ukrainian is very beautiful.
Beautiful. And while we've known his name before, there are more unsettling allegations surrounding...
Yes, UAE is United Arab Emirates.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Yep, came out as part of the release. It was revealed that back in 2013, Epstein allegedly claimed that Gates was looking to get medication to treat an STD because of having sex with Russian girls. Keyword Russian. We'll get back to that. Yeah, apparently Epstein had penned this draft email on behalf of a Gates advisor who wanted to maybe leave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Epstein seemingly wrote in this guy's voice, "In my role as his right hand, I had been asked on multiple occasions and in hindsight wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound and had been repeatedly asked to do other things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of sex with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments, I feel I owe it to my friends and future colleagues to admit a moral failure." So there was a spokesperson for Bill Gates who rejected the allegations, saying these claims are absolutely absurd and completely false. Here's something interesting. On Tuesday, NPR's Wildcard podcast, they aired a preview of an interview that they did with Melinda Gates. So this is Bill Gates' ex-wife. The two divorced in 2021. And that interview, which airs in full on Thursday, apparently includes Melinda's response to her ex being mentioned so many times in the Epstein files. Quote, "For me, it's personally hard whenever those details come up, right? Because it brings back memories of some very, very painful times in my marriage. Whatever questions remain there of what, I can't even begin to know all of it. Those questions are for those people and for even my ex-husband. They need to answer to those things, not me. I'm able to take my own sadness and look at those young girls and say, my God, how did that happen to those girls? At least for me, I've been able to move on in my life, and I hope there's some justice for those now women." And by the way, Bill Gates did a recent interview, I believe, with Australian media where he said, "I never went to the island. I never met any women." And so the more that comes out, the more clear it'll be that although the time was a mistake, it had nothing to do with that kind of behavior. Okay, moving forward. Elon Musk. Okay, 2012, 2013, there are emails that show the two were messaging and trying to arrange for the Tesla founder to visit Epstein's.
Mind you, in the interview, Bill Gates said the only reason why he associated with Epstein was because he wanted Epstein to introduce him to like more rich people, which to me just does not make sense. How could the world's richest man at that point in time, he's not anymore, but at that point in time, how could the world's richest man need Epstein to introduce him to rich people? I'm confused. It just sounds out like a flat out lie.
Island. So Elon Musk comes up in this new document dump. So for example, there's this exchange. "We'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays. Is there a good time to visit?" And then a response from JEE Vacation responds, "I will send heli for you," seemingly helicopter. "Actually, I could fly back early on the 3rd. We will be in St. Bart's. When should we head to your island? On the 2nd? Did we need to organize Elon to your island on January 2nd? And by the way, Musk appeared to ask Epstein in one email, "What day night will be the wildest party on your island?" Now, it doesn't appear that ever happened, that he visited it. And by the way, Musk has previously tweeted that Epstein was a creep, that he tried repeatedly to get him to his island, that he always declined. And
I'm sorry, how is he a creep, but then you email him and you ask him to get you to his island? Why do you want to go to his island if you think he's a creep? Genuine question.
Musk also responded more recently on X that no one pushed harder than me to have the Epstein files released, and I'm glad that has finally happened. I had very little correspondence with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to go to his island or fly on his Lolita Express, the private jet. He was, quote, well aware that some email correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by detractors to smear my name. So, okay, that's just the sampling of those mentioned. Goes to the idea of the theory, names are going to be exposed. How about this? There was another theory that came out, and that was whether President Donald Trump was going to be mentioned in the Epstein files. After all, remember when, Elon Musk famously posted on X back in June of last year, time to drop the really big bomb? At real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. Turns out he is. Yeah, so this one's true. Now, to be clear, let's be clear about this. The president is mentioned. One of the reasons that a lot of people suspected this was, was there a delay in getting the files out? There was that memo from the DOJ and FBI that said we looked through everything. There's nobody else that needs to be investigated. There's no client list. There was a whole push to get the files out. There's been arguments that the president has kind of been distracting away from it. So is his name mentioned? Is he mentioned in it? Well, look, he is in it, but I got to be clear about what this is. So one of the documents, this is the big one. One of the documents that came out was this list. It was a list compiled seemingly by the FBI of unverified tips that came in from the FBI's National Threat Operations Center. And apparently this was sent over to the Child Exploitation and Human Trafficking Task Force. Now, again, these were tips that apparently couldn't be corroborated, some of it's secondhand information. And in fact, this was what the DOJ said on this, quote, this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act. Some of the documents contain untrue and sensationalistic claims against President Trump that were submitted to the FBI right before the 2020 election. To be clear, the claims are unfounded and false, and if they have a shred of credibility, they certainly would have been weaponized against President Trump already.
I'm sorry, this is complete bullshit. This is complete bullshit. The amount of stories we read, they make it seem as if this man was only mentioned in like one file. When that was not true, he was mentioned in multiple files.
Now, we do want to warn you, these allegations in these tips are very disturbing, but I'll give you an example. Quote, redacted reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13, 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. And the log states that this tip, again, was sent to the Washington office to conduct an interview. The next tip reads, redacted reported she was a friend, redacted who was a personal assistant to Epstein in Florida from 1986 until 1991 or 1992. This friend shared names of the guests at Epstein's parties to include Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. And by the way, the call log indicates that there are 2 voicemails that were left for the complainant. There was never a response. How about this one? Online complainant reported she was a victim and witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in California between 1995 and 1996. Complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broker for sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, remember him from Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, and Donald Trump. And then there's this one. The guests were older men and included Elon Musk, Don Jr., Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump were there. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. We were taken in rooms, forced to give to Donald Trump, forced to allow. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump raped me. Ghislaine Maxwell was also present. So again, mentioned, we don't know if any of that's true. All right, now we go to this big one. This is a big Jeffrey Epstein theory, okay? Arguably the biggest theory. Epstein didn't die from his own hand, but he was murdered, okay? This is a big one. Remember, he was found dead in his federal jail cell on August 10, 2019, as he was awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking.
Again, that wasn't the only document. I don't know why he brought up only that particular document, because that wasn't the only document that Trump was mentioned in, by the way. He was mentioned in multiple documents, multiple reports. Again, this is why I'm saying, if you stick to, hi Yassine, if you stick to only the mainstream media and not do reading yourself, they would literally make you believe that it's not that big of a deal. Just wanted to say that. They'll really make you believe it's not that big of a deal.
Trafficking of minors charges. Now, there has long been speculation that he was murdered. So let me be clear. The new release, all these files, as far as we can see, doesn't disprove that. Doesn't prove that he was murdered. However, we did find something that is not going to quiet that narrative. According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died. That on July 29, 2019, his lawyers and the federal prosecutors in very general...
There's nothing to prove that? What about the emails that his brother received? The ones about the boss. The one that we read here. Y'all remember that? You were here for that. I read that on the first day of the live. Like the first live that I hosted about this. I read about the brother receiving those letters about the boss wanting to unalive Epstein. What about those letters?
Terms discuss the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation. Cooperation's key. Defense counsel did not make a specific proposal, and they did not indicate what the nature of Epstein's cooperation might be, if any. But it was suggested that defense counsel contact SDNY if Epstein was prepared to accept responsibility for his conduct and or they had a specific proposal for a resolution of this case. Okay, so maybe he was going to work out a deal and then he dies, right? That looks suspicious. This is a guy who had connections to the rich and powerful, potentially had a lot of information. Strange, he just dies, right? However, assuming this is true, there was no way he was going to walk away scot-free. No way. Even if he provided information about others, highly unlikely he was just going to escape, okay? That he was just going to be let free. I can guarantee you he would have seen prison time. So if he believed that his options were limited...
No. He wouldn't have walked away scot-free because he got scapegoated by the people he worked for. He got scapegoated by the person known as the boss because it got too bad. You know? Because Epstein was also not the head of the hierarchy. He was working for somebody else. And when things got way too messy, they decided to scapegoat him, and then they got away with everything. Who knows? They might have found a replacement. Who's to say they didn't find a replacement? Who's to say if the people who were involved were not held accountable, were not brought to justice, who is to say that they already haven't found a replacement to Epstein who is now doing their job for them? Because the trafficking system did not get dismantled. People are still being trafficked, right? So they might have just found another replacement to Epstein.
And he wasn't going to walk. Maybe he became desperate. I mean, as we reported on another sidebar, Epstein apparently had a secret girlfriend who he had reportedly planned to leave the bulk of his massive fortune and properties to when he died. Corinna Shuliak spoke to him on the phone for 20 minutes the night before he was found dead. So some will say, yeah, maybe supports the idea that he did this to himself. He's closing out his affairs. He's saying goodbye. Others could say, hey, he knew he was in danger. Maybe he knew he was about to be killed. And I'll also note that The Guardian claims that in these documents, there appear to be a conversation between investigators regarding Epstein's death, with one suggesting that Epstein's last communication didn't look like a note that someone would leave if they were about to harm themselves. This is also per reporting by the Associated Press.
Hold on.
And apparently...
Haley, yes. Haley said maybe he didn't even need a replacement. He probably wasn't the only one operating this way. 100%. 100%. He probably wasn't even operating on his own. They probably, he was dead. How could he have headed this whole thing on his own? It's impossible for one person to head all of this on their own. This global networking trafficking system where the ultra rich are able to to go and hire an escort to unalive her and have the police cover up for them. They're able to cannibalize people. They're able to grape people. They're able to unalive people, right? This is a global trafficking system, right? So clearly, this one single man could not have done it himself.
It's been reported that the documents explain that the jail used boxes and sheets to make it look like Epstein's body, and then they loaded it into a white van belonging to the chief medical examiner, that this was a way to trick the media that was gathered all outside the facility after his death, when in actuality, his real body was apparently in a black car and no one really saw it leave. So you have that too, apparently, in the files. Okay, brings me to another big theory. That Epstein was so powerful, he was so connected, that he had such a meteoric rise to fortune in the 80s and the 90s. Was it too convenient? Was he really getting assistance? Was he an asset? Was he a foreign agent? Was he a Russian spy, for example? Now, this one's a little tricky, okay? Well, there's nothing on the face of it to directly prove that. His connections to Moscow and his massive interest in Vladimir Putin, it is on full display in this recent release, because Putin is named almost 1,000 times in the latest document release, and there are almost 10,000 references to Moscow. There are communications regarding Epstein inquiring about a Russian visa, how he wanted to reinvent the Russian financial system. There was an exchange where Epstein helped Russia's former UN ambassador understand Donald Trump, or how Epstein in another email said that Russia's foreign minister could, quote, get insight on talking to me. There was a lot of back and forth about Epstein meeting Putin or attempts to meet him. You had one email from September 11, 2011, where someone writes about Epstein meeting with Putin when he goes to Russia, and it says, quote, spoke with Igor. He said,
Look at that date. Oh, what a date. What a date.
Palm Beach, you told him you had an appointment with Putin on September 16th and that he could go ahead and book his ticket to Russia to arrive a few days before you. In an email to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Epstein writes, Putin asked that I meet him in St. Petersburg at the same time as his economic conference. I told him no. If he wants to meet, he will need to set aside...
Ehud Barak is the former Prime Minister of Israel, by the way. And I'm going to do a deep dive on him as well, because he is also mentioned multiple times in the Epstein files.
In real time and privacy, let's see what happens. There's a 2014 email from a Japanese entrepreneur that says, hey, Jeffrey, I wasn't able to convince LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman to...
Oh, this is the guy who we talked about. Joy Ito. Thank you very much for the gifts, by the way. All the gifts are much, much appreciated, because I am doing a lot of labor, mental, emotional, physical labor as well. Not physical, but having to look through the files does take a toll on one. So thank you for all the gifts and the support. Much, much appreciated. If you don't want to gift, but instead, if you have a PayPal, pay link is in the bio. And if you have Cash App, you can DM me and I'll send you the Cash App. So anyways, yeah. But yeah, this is the guy who asked Epstein if he has somebody who has influence over the Syrian president. Right? This is the guy who said that, by the way. The guy who asked if he had anybody who had influence over the Syrian president. And now he's telling him, I wasn't able to convince Reid to change his schedule to go meet Putin with you. So, what have we learned up until now? Indonesian intelligence. Thank you so much for the gifts, Rev. Indonesian intelligence are involved. American intelligence are involved. Israeli intelligence are involved. Russian intelligence are involved. Japanese man entrepreneur is involved. Why are all these different intelligence agencies involved?
Aside real time and privacy, let's see what happens. There's a 2014 email from a Japanese entrepreneur that says, hey, Jeffrey, I wasn't able to convince LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman to change his schedule to go to meet Putin with you. Now, the New York Post reported that U.S. security officials claim Epstein had ties with Russian organized crime. So the question becomes, was he providing information to Russian officials? Was he creating a blackmail honey trap system to benefit Russia, try to compromise people? Obviously, we don't know for sure, but he did apparently have this obsession in a way with Putin and Russia. And this is only fueled, by the way, by Epstein's connection to Ghislaine Maxwell, whose father, Robert Maxwell, allegedly was a Soviet asset in the 70s and reportedly laundered money from Russia to the West with Epstein's help. There's an email where Epstein writes...
Wait. Her father wasn't only a Soviet asset, okay? Robert Maxwell, let's look into him. He wasn't only a Soviet asset. It's incomplete. Robert Maxwell also had links to Mossad, by the way. Where was it? Hold on. I read that somewhere. Give me a second. There we go. Robert Maxwell has been suspected of having ties to multiple intelligence agencies, including the British MI16, the Soviet KGB, and the Israeli Mossad. The British Foreign Office suspected Maxwell of being a secret agent of a foreign government, possibly a double agent or a triple agent, and thoroughly a bad character and almost certainly financed by Russia. Shortly before Maxwell's death, Ari Ben Menashe, a former employee of Israel's military intelligence directorate, approached a number of news organizations in Britain and the US with the allegation that Maxwell and the Daily Mirror's foreign editor Nicholas Davies were both longtime agents of Mossad. Ben Menashe also claimed that in 1986 Maxwell informed the Israeli embassy in London that Mordecai Vanunu revealed information about Israel's nuclear capability to the Sunday Times, then to the Daily Mirror. Vanunu was subsequently kidnapped by Mossad and smuggled to Israel, convicted of treason, and imprisoned for 18 years. So I just wanted to add that part as well, right? Her father was much, much more important than that as well. He was tied to multiple intelligence agencies.
And reportedly laundered money from Russia to the West with Epstein's help. There's an email where Epstein writes, Robert Maxwell threatened Mossad. He told them that unless they gave him 400 million pounds to save his crumbling empire, he would expose all he had done for them. And by the way, to put a note on this, the New York Post is reporting that Polish authorities are now looking into whether or not Jeffrey Epstein had a real link, a real connection to Russian intelligence. You had Prime Minister Donald Tusk, who said during a government meeting this week, quote, more and more leads, more and more information, and more commentary in the global press all relate to the suspicion that this unprecedented pedophilia scandal was co-organized by Russian intelligence services. I don't need to tell you how serious the increasingly likely possibility that Russian intelligence services co-organized this operation is for the security of the Polish state. This can only mean that they also possess compromising materials against many leaders still active today. And so the Polish leader indicated that they're going to put a team together to look into this. And of course, this is all fueled and motivated by Epstein's connections that he had, which brings me to another big thought. The question that came up, would former Prince Andrew, right? Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, okay, formerly Prince Andrew, before he was stripped of his titles, could he be further exposed? A known former associate, friend of Epstein, even though he's never been criminally charged, even though he was, again, stripped of his royal titles. Well, I'll tell you what, there definitely was a lot of him in there. Like how Andrew allegedly invited Epstein to Buckingham Palace after Epstein's release from house arrest on Florida, solicitation of prostitution charges, including with a minor. This is back in 2010. You had this email where Epstein said he wanted to set Andrew up with a 26-year-old, yes, Russian woman, who he describes as clever and beautiful. In one exchange, Epstein said he was in London, asked for private time with the then Duke of York. Andrew replied, we could have dinner at Buckingham Palace and lots of privacy. 2 days later, he followed up by saying, delighted.
I'm so sorry. Mr. I don't sweat Andrew really lied in that interview by claiming, oh, I don't know, I don't meet with him. Isn't that interesting? This man flat out lied and said, I didn't meet with him. And yet here he's showing that he did.
For you to come here to BP, Buckingham Palace, come with whomever, and I'll be free from 1600-ish. And I will say undoubtedly the most disturbing revelation in this document release regarding Andrew is a photo of him on the floor, on all fours, over a female who is lying down.
Why is he saying a female? That's clearly a minor. First of all, stop reducing women to our reproductive organs. Female what? Female animal? Female what? What are you talking about? Female dog? What are you talking about? And second of all, that is not a woman. First of all, the correct terminology is woman, not female. Female is an adjective, not a noun. Learn how to speak English properly, first of all, okay? Second of all, still not a woman. That's a girl. It's a child. That's a child.
Okay, now this wasn't even an Epstein theory per se, as far as I can tell, but it was a major conspiracy theory that now people are saying is tied to Jeffrey Epstein in the wake of this document release. What am I talking about? Pizzagate. Remember this? Bottom line of it was, there was a theory that spread online that there was this wild child pedophilia ring that was operating out of a Washington, D.C. pizzeria that involved the highest levels of the Democratic establishment. Started back in 2016. Now, to be clear, there is no evidence of this, okay? But why am I talking about it? Well, there are a lot of references to pizza in the Epstein files. Now, on one hand, the context of it would suggest maybe they're really talking about food. Others believe coded language for something else. For example, on April 26, 2016, in response to Epstein writing in an email, quote, "She looks pregnant," someone responded, "You mean radiating a soft glow with the look of bliss and excitement?" Yeah, that's the...
You cannot tell me that this isn't code. You cannot tell me that this isn't code. First of all, the only thing I disagree with when it comes to Pizzagate is number one, that it was in the basement of like a pizza parlor, and number two, the fact that it only involved like the Democrats or whatever it is. Okay. Thank you, Unknown. I appreciate you too. That's the only thing I agree with. I think that this is like, it includes just everybody. Also, he attempted to like scapegoat Russia specifically. This doesn't only involve Russia. It involves multiple countries, multiple powerful people. Okay? It involves multiple people. And then you wonder why all these billionaires don't give a damn about people being genocided. You wonder why these people don't give a damn, don't care about the fact that people are being genocided by their funds. That is because they don't even care about the children of their own countries. By the way, pizza is in the code languages. Hold on, where is it? Hold on. Here. Pizza is code for little girl. By the way. Pizza is code for little girl. Right? Pizza is code for little girl. By the way.
The pizza. There's another message that says, "So the final form will be molded dough that you put pizza sauce and cheese on?" I don't know. Gotta mention that one. Now, this next one goes, I would say, under the banner of secrets exposed, right? Unfound secrets gonna come out, right? The theory that the Epstein files will expose everything. Gotta say, this one was a doozy. There are references in the document release to Epstein possibly fathering a secret child. Okay? This exchange between Epstein and former Prince Andrew's ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, who, by the way, apparently told Epstein once, according to the materials, that he was the, quote, brother I have always wished for. So there's this message, apparently, from Ferguson to Epstein.
This wasn't the only time that's mentioned. The 16-year-old girl who put together the journal, she explains in one of her journals that she was lying down and as Epstein's baby was inside her. She says that. She says Epstein's baby was inside her. So that's not the only time. Don't know if you're still on this BBM, but heard from the Duke that you have had a baby boy. Even though you've never kept in touch, I still am here with love, friendship, and congratulations on your baby boy.
Don't know if you're still on this BBM, but heard from the Duke that you've had a baby boy. Even though you never kept in touch, I am still here with love, friendship, and congratulations on your baby boy, Sarah XX. How about this one? You have disappeared. I did not even know you were having a baby. It was so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew. And that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Look, I don't know if this is true, but the boy would be around 15 years old today. And you couple that, also I have to mention this, with a diary entry from someone.
This is a diary entry. Hold on. This is one of the diary entries, actually. When she says their baby... No, is this the one which says their baby is inside of me? No, but it was this girl, the girl who wrote this journal. We read her full diary, the one I read. And she mentions there, his baby is inside of me. He wants to create a superior offspring or something like that.
Maybe an apparent victim. The handwriting is kind of difficult to decipher, but she writes about feeling like a, quote, human incubator. Says that Epstein talked about creating a, quote, superior gene pool. But look, those are some of the conspiracy theories that came out. We were referenced, exposed, added context to from this files release. We will continue to see what happens next in the Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell saga. Who knows? Your guess is as good as mine. But that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always...
Yeah, he messed up some of the things, not gonna lie. Some of the things are a bit messed up. I like how he addressed some of the things, but it's okay. This one is, do you prefer the gift? So he was sending a quote-unquote gift to Leon Black. We already read this one. This is also something that's so interesting, right? He says here, on August 26, 2019, the Cleveland field office received an email from Erez Zadok, telephone redacted. The email is attached. Zadok stated that the Wexner Foundation in Cleveland, Ohio, had appointed Jeffrey Epstein as a trustee. Epstein gave the Wexner Foundation approximately $9 million. Zadok also stated that the Wexner Foundation transferred at least $2.3 million to Israeli former Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Epstein allegedly signed some of these transfer documents. Interesting. Interesting. Why were they transferring millions of dollars to people? This one says, an attorney serving as outside counsel for the Attorney General of Virgin Islands in a civil matter against the Jeffrey Epstein estate contacted SSA redacted regarding information obtained in the course of her investigation. Two women, one located in New York City and one located elsewhere, have made accusations against Jess Staley, the CEO of Barclays Bank, of violent rape. One of the women believes that she spoke to the FBI with these accusations previously. Attorney redacted wanted to be sure that the FBI was aware of these accusations. In addition, during the course of their investigation, they have seen information showing that Epstein's attorney and accountant were aware of the activities occurring and were helping in perpetuating the crimes being committed by covering them up. At this point in time, the real question is, which billionaire is not involved? I think that is the accurate question to ask. Which billionaire is not involved? That's the appropriate one. Because it's too many of them. Even Zac Efron is involved. That's the crazy thing. Oh, thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate you, Swan. Thank you for all the gifts. Even Zac Efron is involved. So let's go into Leon Black. Jay-Z is also involved. Let's go into, yes, Zac Efron. The three brothers, Alan, Oren, and Tal, they found a woman. One of the women who got raped by them came forward and said that they took her, or they found her, or like put substance in her in Zac Efron's apartment. Zac Efron, because he's Zac Efron, like hosted a party basically. Thank you so much for the gifts. I appreciate you guys. He hosted a party, and that's where they found her. Three of them are on trial now, exactly. Right? So anyways, let's read this. Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Let's read this, right? May 26, 2023, call with Jan Christensen, Wigdor LLP referral. Leon Black, a Wall Street person, 72 or 71 now, founded the largest private equity global fund that exists today that's publicly traded, one of Epstein's friends, very powerful. 7 to 8 years, Black was sexually violent with her. Black bites, oh my God, y'all. I don't know if I can read this. Black bites parts of her vagina. Violence was arousing for him, very painful for her. JC represented victim for civil defamation case, not sex abuse. Went to USAO in Manhattan, May or June in 2021. Trigger warning, everybody, by the way. Disturbing. JC doesn't represent herself anymore. Got a call from victim woman who said that she heard, what is that? Okay. Got a call from a victim woman who said that she heard about a lawsuit against Black. Victim said Black raped her around 20 years ago, 2001 or 2002, in Epstein's townhouse. Victim described it, felt pain like insertion of something sharp in her vagina, on massage table with head on the floor and legs on his shoulders, excruciating. Spoke with redacted, Manhattan DA's office, redacted at DA's office. Substance abuse problems, 1990s, preyed on by Epstein, okay? Gave massages to Epstein and Black for money. Lives in redacted now. Abuse happened in New York. Minor victim at Epstein's townhouse was told to give Leon Black a massage, violently raped by Leon Black. 16 years old when raped. So he raped at 16 years old. Redacted. Biological mother is redacted. Biological father is redacted. Both alive. Redacted. Has lived with them since 2012 when attending redacted, where redacted was a counselor in charge of students with redacted. Leon Black used adult sex toys in victim's rectum and vagina. Victim felt severe pinching in her vagina and began bleeding from her rectum. Black and others at Epstein's house would not take her to the doctor and instead flew her out to New York the next day. Victim did not go back to New York after that. The next few years was in Palm Beach or U.S. Virgin Islands. Driven from redacted to Epstein's townhouse to meet Epstein's special friend named Leon Black, brought to Manhattan townhouse. While she has always known the name of Black, she did not participate in the Epstein case or fund. Epstein and Black used to talk about victim and described her as being 10. They knew about her redacted. From 2001 to end of 2004, she was trafficked by redacted, sex with at least 25 different men. Redacted works in IT, 5 different last names and tech experience. Redacted date of birth, redacted last of 4 social R, redacted current address is redacted. Redacted was a teacher of team victim then. Redacted had sex with men in front of the victim. Redacted handed victim off to Maxwell and Epstein. Victim had to sleep in their bed with them. U.S. Virgin Islands in late 2020 and early 2021. Officials were trying to interview underage girls who had been on the island. Victim was interviewed, participated in around 2 meetings with a lawyer. Victim viewed Maxwell as a mother figure, but describes things she did as mean. Believes that there were some men that Epstein wanted her to go with, and Maxwell said no. Redacted Yo No lives redacted. Has high school attendance records, absent constantly Fridays and Mondays. Medical records, trauma from sexual abuse, rectal tearing, references to violent grape. Fucking sickos, bro. Fucking sicko. Listen to estate planning, by the way. This guy, Black, was a guy who gave Epstein over $150 million. $150 million. Why? Why did he give him $150 million? By the way, just wanted to say, Black's son is also in these files. He's in contact with Jeffrey Epstein. His name is Ben Black. So it says here, Leslie Groff, who is, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, huh? Leslie Groff is the assistant. And she says, hello, Josh and Ben. These are both Black sons. Just circling back regarding Jeffrey's offer to have your portraits painted. Jeffrey has consigned an artist at the New York Academy of Art and was hoping you two would be interested as a gift to your father. Victoria met with an artist last year, thinking you may have seen the finished work. We would need you both to meet with the artist once. I do not think it's necessary you go together if your schedules don't allow. Then he says, sounds good. And then the assistant says, okay, super. Let me contact the artist. I'll come back to you. Creepy. And this was in 2016, by the way, long after the initial conviction of Jeffrey Epstein. And then here is another time where he has here the Jeffrey Epstein, the dates that he's going to be meeting with people. It says here 9 a.m. Colum Ehud Rothschild, 11 a.m. redacted, 12 p.m. redacted, 1 p.m. Hakon, 2 p.m. Ben Black again, 3 p.m. Dulugash, 4 p.m. Barnaby, 5 p.m. redacted, 8:30 dinner at Mort's. No, we're not talking about Jack Black. We're talking about Leon Black, the billionaire. And then it says here again, good morning, Ben. Just reconfirming you will come see Jeffrey today at his home, 9 East 71st Street between 5th and Madison at 2 p.m. Thank you, Leslie. There's a reason why I'm showing you guys this, by the way. Okay? Do you know where this guy is right now? You want to guess? This guy is the head of the United States International Development Finance Corporation because he was appointed by Donald Trump. He was appointed by Donald Trump. Ben Black serves as the Chief Executive Officer of the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation for the 119th Congress, having been confirmed by the Senate and sworn in December 2025. He succeeded Scott A. Nathan to lead the agency, which focuses on financing private investment in developing nations. Why is he in charge of financing investment in developing nations? Y'all don't believe me, by the way? Here, President Donald Trump picked Ben Black, the son of billionaire Leon Black, to lead the little-known U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, making the pick after Black wrote a Substack post outlining his ideas for sourcing money for the Foreign Development Agency from the embattled USAID, targeted by Trump's administration. Trump nominated Black as the CEO of the Foreign Development Agency on January the 31st, selecting Black to lead the multi-billion-dollar budget agency formed during Trump's first term that is tasked with making investments in foreign countries. Why are you sending people to foreign countries who are involved in this circle? I'm confused. Black suggested the Foreign Development Agency could invest in ports and mines in Greenland. Right? Which Trump has sought to purchase, saying American infrastructure, mining, and shipping companies could become involved in partnership that increases American natural resources. Do you want to know why there's a heavy focus on ports, by the way? If you control the port of a country, you control the economy. You control the imports and the exports that are done through the ports. That is why there is a heavy focus by the UAE, for example, by Israel, by China, by Russia, by America to control ports. All of these countries are literally like fighting each other to control ports. Which, by the way, this is the same thing that was done during the scramble for Africa. This is why I tell people, if you want to understand today, you have to look at the past, because there is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. Right? Whatever is happening in the port system is because initially what the corporations did in the past, European corporations, they first controlled the ports, and then in the 1800s were they able to go inland, right? They were then able to go inland after controlling the ports, because if you control a port, you control the economy. That is why the UAE is actively trying to control ports all over Africa. China is doing the same. Russia is doing the same. America is doing the same. And now it's interesting that Ben Black, the son of Leon Black, the man who has raped, allegedly, multiple women, both of whom are in the Epstein files, Ben Black, because he met up with Epstein multiple times, are talking about investing in ports and mines in Greenland. The same Greenland that Trump talks about invading. And you guys think all of this is not connected? Like, you guys think all of this is not connected? Right? Because, by the way, recolonizing certain parts of the world means more money for the billionaires to grape more children. You know that, right? Recolonizing, let's say, West Asia or Africa or Latin America means that a couple billionaires are then able to hoard wealth, and the wealth that they hoard is being used to cover up the fact that they grape and unalive children. So that's how they continue getting rich. That is how they continue getting rich. The money that they use to grape children is the money that they acquire from genocide, from exploitation, and from neo-colonial structures. Right? Very much connected. And also, by the way, Leon Black invested in this thing called Humanity Plus. Okay? So this is from 2014. It says here, Dear Mr. Gertzel, in appreciation of the important... Hold on, there we go. In appreciation of the important work being done at Humanity Plus, Inc., particularly in the area of AI, I, Leon Black Family Foundation, Inc., have wire transferred to Humanity Plus a charitable gift in the amount of $300,000 to be applied for the use and benefit of your project seeking to validate an integrated cognitive architecture utilizing intelligence testing with virtual animals. The funds are to be unrestricted gift in support of this project and may be applied for any purpose consistent with the project's purpose and objectives, including towards any costs and expenses of the project and the salaries of the project's research staff. In accordance with your request, the funds have been wired to Humanity Plus at Wells Fargo in accordance with the following transfer instruction. Now, what is this Humanity Plus Inc.? What does it do? Humanity Plus Inc. is an international nonprofit organization that advocates for the ethical use of technology and science to expand human capabilities, focusing on enhancing health, longevity, and intelligence. It fosters a community focused on transhumanism through conferences, discussions, and educational projects aimed at improving the human condition. Promoting the safe and ethical development of AI. Genetic engineering to enhance human life. Advancing research and public understanding of radical life extension and healthy longevity to help people live better, longer lives. Organizing transvision conferences, H+ virtual roundtables, and publishing materials to connect thinkers in fields like AI, philosophy, and future studies. Supporting projects like Afro Longevity in South Africa and Coding for All in Ethiopia. Huh? Oh, you guys know I'm going to do a deep dive into this tomorrow, right? I'm definitely doing a deep dive into this tomorrow. What is Lookout Inc.? Oh, it's a cybersecurity company. Okay. But yeah. Isn't that crazy? Crazy fucking work. Crazy fucking work. It's already saved. Where was that? I don't know why he decided to use to donate to that particular work, to a particular company. And to Epstein too. Let's read this one. It says Jean M. Christensen. I want to touch base with you as we head into Friday afternoon. I likely will not be able to send anything until that is over. The background that is critical to her case is that it took months for me to build up trust with her, understandably, and it was not until around Thanksgiving when she finally told me and Redacted, her adoptive mother, who she refers to as mom, that Redacted took all of her directions from Redacted, her biological mother. So her biological mother is the one who gave her the... Oh my God. Do you know how sick that is? When your own biological mother is not only trafficking you, but giving you tips. Sick. Thanksgiving, when she finally told me, her adoptive mother, who she refers to as mom, that Redacted took all of her directions from Redacted, her biological mother. As horrifying as this is, everything that had not made sense to me suddenly fell into place. Redacted had forced Redacted to perform sexual acts with adult men since she was very young. Her younger sister also. Oh my God. Oh my God. So the mother was basically trafficking both of her daughters. Both of her daughters. Some people really don't deserve to have children. Right? Her younger sister also. Even worse, the paternal grandfather, Redacted, who lived with them, was in on it. This is why she knew so many of the men's actual last names. Redacted spoke matter-of-factly to Redacted about what she was expected to do, when and with whom. She was told Leon Black is VIP because he is a special friend of Jeffrey's, and told this to make sure she did what she was supposed to do. She absolutely knew his name before they ever went up to NYC that time. And she also spoke his name with Redacted and Redacted afterwards. It was not a secret for them. Redacted and Redacted had gone to gamble on the Jersey Shore. Redacted drove her up to NYC after she got so airsick on Dana Chasen, Rockefeller's small prop plane, the last time. This is the girl in the files. The journal. Because in the journal, she mentioned a plane. She said, the Rockefeller plane that Dana put me on was not good. Remember that? The one who wrote the cryptid journal? Sometimes, I have the memory of a hawk. Most of the times, I have the memory capacity of a potato. Sometimes, though, I have the memory of a hawk. Because she said that. I remember Dana. And we asked ourselves, does she mean Princess Diana? Or who does she mean by Dana? Right? So, Dana Chasen, Rockefeller's small prop plane, the last time to Epstein's NYC townhouse. The redacted drove from New Jersey to Manhattan and stayed at a hotel near Epstein's. Redacted brought her there, and Redacted dressed Redacted up special for black and even used ribbons in her hair to match her skirt. Mind you, the person who wrote the journal was 16 at the time. And yeah, I do have very poor memory, actually. Like, I don't remember. I have very good long-term memory, but I have very bad short-term memory. So I'm very, very forgetful. Like, there are parts of my life that I don't even remember. So yeah, it's not very good. Anyways, dressed up as special for black, even used ribbons in her hair to match her skirt. When Redacted had a meltdown after Leon used When Redacted had a meltdown after Leon used large adult sex toys in her anus and she was bleeding and wanted to see a doctor, the reaction from Epstein, Maxwell, and her parents was one of anger with her. This is why in her scrapbook for year 16, see, I told you guys, the scrapbook, at page 15, she says, I ruined their weekend. Redacted scolded Redacted for ruining their NYC weekend and was concerned about not getting money. Her own parents are the ones who drove her from NYC back to Woodbridge, Virginia. And it was Redacted who brought Redacted, age 15. Oh my God. She was actually 15, not 16. And her sister was 12. So the parents trafficked their 12-year-old daughter and their 15-year-old daughter. Imagine. Jail the parents. Jail the fucking parents. Jail the fucking parents as well. Jail the parents. And it was Redacted who brought Redacted, age 15, and her sister, then 12, down to Florida, where they each met Maxwell in a hotel room. Maxwell gave approval for Redacted. That is when she was sent to live at Redacted's house, because Redacted told her, if you get caught, Redacted is going down, not me. Then she started to be sent to Epstein's PB residence, etc. There is more to the background, read the Redacted and her grandfather, but as for Leon, I wanted you to know this. Redacted knew Dana Chasen, and that is how Redacted was flown to NYC the first time, where she had sex with Larry Summers. At a later date, Redacted flew with Redacted and Dana Chasen somewhere else. I'm forgetting where right this moment. Hopefully this gives you the same insight that it gave me, Jean. These people are disgusting. And to show you how close Epstein was to Leon Black, he sends an email here and says, it is with sadness that I'm letting you know that Judy Ellen Black, loving wife of Richard Schlossberg and dear sister of Leon Black, passed away Sunday, November the 15th. There is a graveside funeral at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, November 17th at the Redacted Cemetery in Washington, Connecticut. The family will be sitting Shiva at the home for Leon Black, Redacted, on Tuesday between 5:30, 8 p.m. and on Wednesday between 5 and 8 p.m. He is so close that he is inviting other people on behalf of Leon Black to Leon Black's sister's funeral. And what the crazy thing is? Let's see who these names are. Bennett LeBow, Paul Freiberg, Keith Fox, Brad Wexler, Cheryl Krongard, Laura Bennett M., Isaac Herzog. Who knows who Isaac Herzog is? Who knows who Isaac Herzog is? Isaac Herzog is the president of Israel. Isaac Herzog is the president of Israel. Why is a whole president being invited? Why is a whole president being invited by Jeffrey Epstein to Leon Black's sister's funeral? Who's this guy? Bennett LeBow. Should we go through all the names one by one? Should we do that? Should we go through all the names one by one? Okay. Let's see who all these motherfuckers are. Okay? Because why are they associated with a man with two rapists? Bennett S. LeBow is an American businessman and philanthropist. He's the founder and chairman of the board of Vector Group. After LeBow acquired the cigarette manufacturer Liggett Group in 1986, the company became involved in anti-tobacco lawsuits culminating in 1998 Tobacco Master Settlement Agreement. Interesting. That's Freiberg. American businessman, the chairman and CEO of Conti Group Companies, a global agribusiness and food company since 1976. Interesting. Who's the second person? Brad Wexler. Brad Wexler has been the sole chairman of the company's board of directors since April 2009 and has been director since March 1994. Mr. Wexler assumed the role of CEO and managing partner Elysium LLC in January 2015. Elysium manages the business affairs of a high net worth private family. Huh. Y'all notice a pattern here? Keith Fox. Keith Fox, CEO of Fiden Press, CEO. He's the president of McGraw-Hill Professional and president of Business Week 2. Next, Cheryl Krongard. She's in the board of directors. She's the chair of Air Lease Chair Leadership Development and Compensation Committee. Laura M. Bennett. Let's go to that one. She's an Olympian. American professional triathlete. Why is she on this list? Jeffrey Epstein, Ronnie Heyman, Ronnie Heyman. Another billionaire. Wait, hold on. The Heyman Family Art Lab is an interactive space where kids and adults experiment, play, and create as they explore the ideas, tools, and techniques Michael Milken. Michael Roberts Milken is an American financier. He is known for his role in the development of the market for high-yield bonds, which led to his reputation as the junk bond king, and his conviction and sentence following a guilty plea on felony charges for violating U.S. security laws. A lot of them are affiliated with children's organizations, yep. Steve Roth. And they're all multi-billionaires. Eat the fucking rich. And y'all sit here defending billionaires. You know how embarrassing that is? American real estate investor, the founder and chairman of Fornado Realty Trust, the largest commercial landlord in New York City. He is also a co-founder and managing general partner of Interstate Properties and chairman and chief executive officer of Alexander's. At this point, you kind of get the gist. You get the gist. Stephen E. Mercy is an American retired federal agent of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration who, along with Javier Pena, was one of the lead investigators in the manhunt of Colombian drug lord and leader of the Medellin cartel, Pablo Escobar. All alleged, of course, by the way. Wait, what was the name? Saper. Not Saber. Oh, this guy's dead. Well, sad. Well, too bad. Not so bad. But anyways. Claude Wasserstein. Claude. Also dead. Was an American investment banker. Oh no, this is somebody else. Claude is the founder and CEO of Fine Day Ventures. Did we hear that in the Epstein files? She previously worked at CBS News as a longtime producer. Pretty sure we heard of that, didn't we? Dude Lefrak, Richard Lefrak, is an American billionaire businessman. He's a chairman and CEO of LeFrak, a privately held family-run company based in New York City that owns, develops, and manages real estate. He is one of the biggest landlords in the New York tri-state area. Interesting. Interesting. Susan and Marty Lipton. Martin Lipton is an American lawyer, a founding partner of the law firm Wachter Lipton, Rosen and Katz, specializing in advising on mergers and acquisitions and matters affecting corporate policy and strategy. I don't even know what to say at this point. Meryl and James It was practically an arranged marriage, she told Cranes. Lawrence Tisch, having befriended Meryl's father, Rabbi Philip Piet, intended for his son Thomas to take Meryl out for a date when she was 16. Thomas balked, she says, because I was a very studious-looking person. Lawrence then offered $50 to his middle son James, who was finishing his first year at Cornell, to take Meryl out on a date. We had a really interesting, engaging, respectful They had the Tisch Foundation. They're all rich people. The ultra rich. The ultra rich. So again, the question that I have is, who is a good person? Oh, I think Tailpipe wanted to say something. Did you request Tailpipe? Do you want to say something?
I had requested by accident, sorry, but what's it called? The Tisch family, their daughter's the NYPD commissioner, and the LeFracks, my father, like I actually have Francine LeFrac's phone number in my phone. We grew up with them. My father was the confidant or the assistant, basically, to the Samuel LeFrac, who's the father who passed away. And the LeFracks own, like you see how you said Vornado Realty Trust. Yes, they're the largest corporate owner, right? But the LeFrac family is more wealthy and has more assets under management than Vornado by far. They literally own half of New York City. Columbia University is literally owned by them, a portion of it. Their endowment literally funds Columbia University. They purchase real estate also through Columbia University to avoid antitrust laws.
Interesting. Thank you for that, Tailpipe. I appreciate you.
Yep, drop.
Thank you. Now, the people who follow me, do you understand why I don't like capitalism? Do you understand it now? Do you understand why I don't like capitalism? Do you understand why I don't think there can ever be any ethical billionaire? Because the only reason they're allowed to hoard this much money is because they actively exploit other people. They're hoarding this amount of money while there are people who can't afford insulin, so they have to ration their insulin. They hoard this amount of money while genociding people and while benefiting off of the genocides of people. There are multiple genocides happening currently in the world. Multiple. And they're all profiting off of it. They're all profiting off of the genocides. And then they get away with it. They kind of earn that money and they actively get away with it. Tell me that's not crazy. Are any of them connected to the pay that pals? Oh. Could be. Could be, not gonna lie. But for now, I've been live for 3 hours and 10 minutes. I told you guys I'm already under the weather. I won't be able to do 4 hours today. So I'm gonna end the live slowly, and then I will go live tomorrow again, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, as I mentioned. I will look into I'll look into if Wayfair is mentioned in the files. That's what I'll look into as well. Wayfair. If Wayfair is involved in the files. How do we even I don't know if I genuinely don't know how people process this. Thank you, Lily. I genuinely don't know how people can process this. I don't know how to process this. I genuinely don't know how to process this. Covey, you need to do a Candace Owens style show in the future. Okay, Candace Owens is not really a good person, okay? She causes a lot of harm. But the style podcast, maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe I couldn't do breakdowns. But Candace Owens is not really a good person, okay? Nobody should glorify Candace Owens. She actively participates in the dehumanization of Black people, okay? But yes, vicarious trauma is 100% real, 100% real. Before I end the live, I wanted to say I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to see if there's any connection between the Pay That Pals. If you have been learning a lot, and you've been enjoying my lives this whole time, then please do support me as well via the pay links in my bio. If you don't have the Pay That Pals, you could also DM me so you can get the Cash App. You can also send gifts. You can also subscribe. You can also follow and come back for more, right? How do I access these files? I'm dumping all of the files that I have on Discord. I'm going to do a special, and it's all going to be in the weekend. As I said, I have my work. I also actively, I'm not going to lie, after these lives, I feel very depressed. After these lives, I feel very, very down, and I just don't want to touch anything to do with any of these things that I read. So for that particular reason, after I shut the live off, I try to distract myself. I try to talk to loved ones. I try to completely distract myself from the topic in general. And then in the morning I go to work. So for that particular reason, I can't really, I haven't been able to do that. But during the weekend, over the weekend, I will be not only uploading all the files that I've been reading to my Discord, but also I'll be uploading all the lives that I've been doing to YouTube, so then you can rewatch them. The Discord is in the link tree in my bio. The server in the link tree in my bio, you can, if it doesn't work for you, the link, open it in a browser. If you open it in a browser, it will work for you then. Okay? Sometimes it doesn't really work all the time, but if you open it in a browser, it will definitely work. Pay links are in the bio. Another thing as well that I really want to highlight is I try to actively highlight the genocides that are happening in Sudan and Congo currently. Sudan is facing the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. Congolese people have been getting genocided for decades, over a century. If you do want to support, and Haitians as well. Oh my God. Haiti has become, I was reading an article about this and I posted about this as well. It's just violence against children has increased by 500%. So if you go to the link tree in my bio, there are initiatives to help Haitians, like Haitian children specifically, displaced Haitian children, because they're the ones who are being mostly impacted by the violence. There's initiatives to help Congolese people and also initiatives to help people in Sudan, right? So if you want to help, and also there is an Eritrean child who is currently stuck in Libya who used to be a slave. His GoFundMe is also in the link tree in my bio if you want to support it. There are also Eritrean refugees who are currently starving in northern Ethiopia. If you want to help them, that would also be amazing. So if you have some extra money that you want to just donate to a bit, even if it's just $5, literally $5 to so much. It's existential for a lot of people who are going through genocides and displacement, right? So for that reason, the link tree is in the link tree is in my bio. You can scroll through the initiatives and just pick an initiative that you want to help. By the way, wow, thank you for 500,000 likes, y'all. I just noticed that. You guys are troopers. I love you guys. Genuinely, you guys are troopers, okay? You guys are amazing. I didn't even notice that we were at 500,000 likes. That is crazy, okay? Crazy tapping that you guys did. Amazing. But yeah, I just wanted to say, if you can't donate, that's also perfectly fine. You can also just, what's it called? Share the link. Share the link. You might have somebody in your family who does want to donate, who does have extra money. And that would genuinely be amazing if they could also donate, right? So free Sudan, free Congo, free Haiti, right? Free Eritrea as well, right? So all these countries really need our attention. So for that particular reason, they're in my link tree. I love you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you for all the gifts as well. And, amazing people. Amazing. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and 11 a.m. Pacific. I love y'all so much.
People are like, why is this